Welcome to Riding Pine Show, season number 2, episode number something or other.
27.
There it is, 27. We are hyped because we have someone quite important on the telephone.
Quite important.
That we want to get to post haste. Immédiatement.
So,
Tout de suite.
on the phone, we have the one, the only, the legend, Montreal Canadiens. We have Chris Knuckles Nilan. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. What's happening there, Johnny boy?
Really good. Really good.
To interview a defenseman, huh, John?
He starts off with that. Yes.
Look out, there's buses hitting people already.
Yes.
I knew you were going to throw me under the bus. Oh, man. I know you so well already because my dad grew up watching you, and you were his favorite, absolute favorite. And I know all the stories. I know Knuckles is the baddest ass around. Is what it is.
Well, yeah. Growing up in that era, I guess your dad growing up watching hockey when hockey was real hockey. What we're seeing now, it was a different game for sure, and in a lot of NHL cities, the guys who happen to do all the fighting were pretty popular. Other than all the goal scorers and the guys who tiptoed through the tulips. The tough guys were pretty much adored in whatever city they played in.
Amazing.
Nice.
So we want to get right to it. You're from Boston. And so my question for you was, you're a Boston sports fan, obviously. How does it feel being a Boston sports fan with the Bruins rolling, the Pats being the Pats, of course, the Celtics being good again, even though they have two of their best players aren't even playing, and they're still 2-0 in the series. And then, obviously, the Red Sox I think they're still on top of the AL East.
15-4, yeah, they're way on top.
Yeah, whatever's going on this year is going on, obviously.
Yeah.
But since 2000, the number of championships the city of Boston has produced in not only baseball, football, one in basketball, and one in hockey. It's truly amazing. Kids who grow up, growing up in that era, really don't know what it's like to be a Boston sports fan. Now, years ago, the Celtics, obviously, all the championships, and in the 50s, 5 in a row there, Bill Russell and everybody. And
Right.
And then the Bruins had some success. And when I was in high school, obviously in the 70s, 70 and 72, the Boston Bruins, when the Stanley Cup was big. But and then the Celtics came on again in the 70s and 80s. And the Red Sox were the perennial loser, but they were a New England's team. And then the Patriots never won anything. And it was tough, and being a Red Sox fan was really tough for all those years. And then all of a sudden,
Down 0-3.
all of a sudden, they realized that the hitting's great, but you need the pitching, and they had the pitching with Schilling and Martinez. So growing up a sports fan there wasn't always. I mean, it was great because you got to see all the major sports, but they certainly didn't have the success that they're having now in all 4 sports, which is really, truly amazing. So the kids who have grown up in the late 90s and into the 2000s have been pretty spoiled. But but it's a great sports town, and not just professional sports. There's all the colleges that are there. College hockey is big, college football all around. So there's so much sports around that area. It's ridiculous. You can never get enough when you live in that area.
Oh, okay. Let's hone in specifically on these Boston Bruins. And there's obviously one player who's more polarizing than the rest, and that's Brad Marchand. I want to get your sense on how you feel about him being on the Boston Bruins, because you hear a lot of times that people hate him, but until you're actually cheering for that team, or you're actually maybe even just rooting, at least in passing, for that team, there's a lot of I'd still rather have him on my team than against me. Is that kind of the same?
Yeah, it's always that way when people dislike players. A lot of people dislike me, but I wish he was on my team.
Exactly.
All that happy horse shit. But
Now, was that type of
Marchand,
player back then? No?
I don't have a problem with Brad Marchand. And I'll tell you why, because he's a throwback player in a sense. Yeah, he's not the biggest guy, but he plays big, he plays hard, so he played dirty and played cheap at times. Yeah, but that's how he makes room for himself. Ken Linsman used to do it. There's a lot of smaller guys that played with that chip, and they had to play with that chip back in the day to survive. And then not only survive, but it when they realized it could also create some room for them. Yeah, they got that room and they were able to take advantage of it because they can also play. And he's a guy who got a low center of gravity, hard to knock off the puck. He's a great skater, and he's relentless. And he wants to win. So, as far as him playing for the Bruins, whoever he plays for, I just like the way he plays. And sometimes I guess guys like that go over the line, they do things, and everybody gets all upset. But I've been in those shoes before, and I know what it's like. And you just got to keep forging ahead and doing your thing and playing your game, and not worry about what everybody else thinks or if they hate you or not. Because in the end, your family loves you, and that's all that counts. It doesn't matter
It's all that matters.
It doesn't matter if some clown from Ottawa doesn't like you.
Some clown that thinks you're a defenseman.
Hey,
I'm not referring to you.
But he could put the puck in the net. He's becoming an elite player in the league.
That's true.
And he reminds me a lot of you, like in the way that he played with that chip on his shoulder. And the way that he had a lot of heart, and that's why the Montreal Canadiens fans loved you and everybody else, because the way you played, you came out to play like a Gallagher, like every single night.
Yeah, no, the thing is, you couldn't get away with not playing back then. If you did, you stuck out like a sore thumb because the games were so physical. They got dirty, they got nasty at times, and if you weren't there or you didn't show up, a lot of times, you get called out for it, either through the media or just you couldn't walk into the locker room and feel good about yourself if you go into Boston and you're playing the Bruins and they're gonna get ready to play a tough, hard game against you, and you stick your tail between your legs and you don't show up. And a lot of players, a lot of guys went in that building there or Philadelphia and didn't care for playing the same way as they played at home, and that would stick out. So again, I had one coach tell me one time that you're allowed to have one bad game in 10, and so that's 8 games a year basically.
Yeah.
And that was Jacques Lemaire. And when I really took the time to think about it, and then I applied myself night in, night out. I always did that anyway, but geez, there's just some games, there's so many games that there's just some games that the legs don't work. And the beauty about when I played, my legs weren't working. I could go out there and just kick the shit out of them.
Yeah, your fists were working fine.
And sit down for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If I really didn't feel good, I could tell the ref where he could go, and then I get kicked out. Take a shower early.
I see that you fought a lot of guys twice in the same game. That doesn't happen very often in today's NHL. So, and we're all just out of that era. We all started really watching hockey in the early to mid 90s. That sort of era was over after the Red Wings Colorado series. Like that type of hockey didn't exist after that. But was there a particular player that when you were playing, or a team that you just absolutely hated, or that you just got up for one guy?
Well, I hated the Bruins. I loved the Bruins growing up, and then when I ended up in Montreal and got my opportunity in my first game up against the Bruins there, I ended up fighting Jonathan, and then O'Reilly come after me later in the game, and I had my hands full. There's no question, but and then as the rivalry and as I played more and fought more guys and got involved in that whole thing more, and things got a little crazy on certain nights, then I learned to really dislike them as an organization. And I just loved the fact that I was playing for the Canadiens, and I was playing for a team that needed a guy like me. And not only needed a guy like me, but they just didn't want me to be that fighter. They wanted me to be more than a fighter. They loved that I did that job, but they wanted me to be a hockey player too, and they sure as hell worked with me day in and day out to do that. And then they put me in a position to succeed, and I know I certainly did that. I was a full-time player. I turned myself into a full-time NHLer, where I'd be honest with you, I couldn't do that job if I was sitting on the bench all night. It just, that'd be tough. So it was a hell of a lot easier to do, knowing that after I had my fight, I was going to be able to play, or my 2 fights. I was going to get back on
there's
the
a
ice.
lot of 2 fights. Before
Yeah.
we move on, I just want to take this time real quick, bring up a fight, Ulf Samuelsson in February of 1986. I think I speak for a lot of hockey fans. It says here that you won that fight, and everybody hated that guy. So I think I speak for everyone when I say thank you for that one, because I would love to give him one.
Whatever. Listen, I try to win all my fights. I wasn't so much scared of anybody. I was scared of losing a fight.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose a fight. And to be honest with you, if, there were nights that I lost fights that I didn't look like I lost. I looked like I might have done all right, or I hung in there. If you clear-cut lose, if you get knocked out, you get your nose put all over your face. Sometimes it hurts the psyche of team, and I was cognizant of that, and I was fighting a lot of guys that were way bigger than me, and I had to fight smart, and I did. So
yeah, you don't have a lot of losses on your record here, and like you said, a lot of them they could have been draws or whatever. They're not clear-cut losses. You don't have a lot of those. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and who knows who's judging these things,
Exactly.
Could be some
Boston fans.
It could be some clown from Ottawa.
Not referring to me again.
No, I'm
someone that will remain nameless.
So with what you said, I was like, my other question here was going to be, if you had to actually pick who you're a fan of, what team. Are you a fan of the Habs because you won a cup with them in '86, or are you a Bruins fan because you grew up there and it's in your blood?
No, I'm not. Here's the deal. I am pro Montreal all the way.
Nice.
They gave me my opportunity in NHL. I won a Stanley Cup there. I started with that team. I finished with that team. I absolutely owe them everything, and my loyalty for the fact that they're the ones who gave me an opportunity. Now, a step further, when the Habs aren't in it, the Rangers a bit, the Bruins. Yeah, right now the Rangers are out, Habs are out. So yeah, I want to see the Bruins win. They got a good team. They did a great job in turning things around there in a short time.
That's true.
Don Sweeney got hung for getting rid of certain guys and getting out of big, heavy contracts that say like a team like Anaheim is stuck with now. Perry, Getzlaf, and Kessler.
That's a bad one.
Yeah.
Are they ever looking old?
Yeah.
The league's
They look
going the
bad.
other way, and now they're stuck with these guys. And Don Sweeney got out of that, and they kind of got ahead of the curve in the way the league was going. Unlike some teams, unlike the team right here, has a lot of issues, and one of them being not having sentiment. So
Yeah.
but regardless, I still like to see the Habs do well. The Molsons own the team now, and Mr. Molson, Jeff's dad owned it when I was here, and they were great owners. They were great people to work for, and for me, I'm a Habs fan through and through.
Perfect. So I think we'll get you here. We'll get you out of here on this. On these Boston Bruins, do they have what it takes to win the Stanley Cup, you think?
All they need is that one clown from Ottawa. Put him over the hump.
I'm on a bus right now.
Here's the deal. I think they could go deep, but I still think they might be. They're not there yet, but they're getting close. And I think Big Z-Man, as good as he's playing for his age, I think he might ultimately kind of cost them in a game here and there. And I don't know if that's a good thing, but I happen to think Tampa Bay, top to bottom, is probably other than Pittsburgh,
Yeah, can't count
probably
out Pittsburgh.
one of the teams should come out of the East. And you know, I gotta tell you, Winnipeg looks good in the West, and you know, Vegas, of course.
That's why I got the plane.
I can't wait to see the Nashville Winnipeg series. I just hope
Yeah,
they
that's gonna be wild.
kick the living shit out.
That
of
should
each
be
other.
that should be safe for the conference final. That back in the day, that's like a dream conference final. The fact they're playing in the divisional, that's stupid.
Well, that's the playoff makeup. You know, that's
Yeah,
the
it's
way
dumb.
the league has it, and that's the way they want to do it.
Yeah.
I certainly agree with Don Cherry on that. One should play 8,
Yes,
two plays 7.
Yeah.
and
that's it.
it'd be a lot better that way. But you know, even then, one plays 8. Sometimes 8 beats 1.
Yep. LA won the cup
you
doing
know,
that.
Especially that first round, right? It's the most dangerous round. So, you know, I'd like to see. Honestly, I'd like to see Vegas
Yes.
That'd
That'd be so good.
really pull something off,
That's
because
crazy.
Gerard Gallant, the way he was treating Florida,
Oh,
what they
yeah.
did to him there, was a joke. And I'm so glad he's doing well. He's a great guy, great hockey guy, and I'm glad to see what's going on there in Vegas.
Awesome. Before we let you go here, I was speaking to your co-host Sean Campbell, and we, the Clowns from Ottawa, have challenged you guys to a road hockey game. So that's in the works. So hopefully,
Great.
hopefully your cardio's still up, and you know you can
Well,
you can even play
yeah,
defense
listen,
if you want.
I'm not accepting any challenges at my age. And if you wanna play road hockey against Campbell and Gallo, go right ahead. Knuckles
Nice.
is staying home for that one.
We're pretty out of shape. If
Yeah,
that's
if that
anything.
helps.
Wow, I can only imagine.
Beauty.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, Knuckles. Thanks a lot for coming on.
right.
This is definitely a highlight of my year.
Life.
Life. Yeah. So I'm gonna say hi to my dad for you, for him, and then
I'll say hi to Mr. Harper.
Oh,
There you
for
go.
sure.
Right.
He used to work at the Canada Drive-In. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah, no, well, I'm sitting there having a Canada Dry right now.
There you go.
Yeah, right on.
Canada Dry ginger ale. So
Yes,
thanks,
sir.
Mr. Harper.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Okay,
Thank
take care.
you.
Alrighty. All right, guys. All the best.
All the
Thank you.
best.
Thanks.
Playoffs. That was awesome.
That was good.
Yeah.
We need to cheers to that.
Yeah.
Being chirped by Knuckles multiple times.
The clown from Ottawa. Is that? I think that's what he's got you in on his phone with.
The clown
Although
from
maybe
Ottawa.
not. He called you Harper. He knows your name.
He does.
Yeah, but the clown from Ottawa.
But I'll remember being chirped by him for a long time.
That might just stick.
Yeah, that's gonna.
I'm gonna call myself the clown.
That one might just stick.
I
Yeah.
think that'll
got
stick.
to.
The clown from Ottawa.
Wow.
How do you feel? What cloud are you? 8, 9, 10, or 11?
It's almost like talking to your idol.
It is.
That is what exactly.
That's what happened.
Like I had my jersey stolen out of my car, and I was a wreck, and it was a Knuckles, not number 12, number 30 jersey.
we got to get him a Knuckles Nilan jersey now.
And
Yeah.
I felt so, and now I got to talk to this guy, and next step is I got to meet him. So I want to meet you.
Well,
sir.
we're gonna be going to Montreal this summer, potentially to get a 3-on-3 tourney and get our butts whooped.
Yes.
We can drop the A word. Nyland did it 4 times. I don't see him having to pay Ryan for
I
anything.
wasn't going to restrict him.
Yeah,
Well,
I still have to pay you. That's fine. But like,
who's gonna go and ask him for that money?
Brian is it's his
not-
money.
it's not
Go
me.
for it, Brian.
Who's gonna ask Knuckles to restrict himself?
No.
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 I'm gonna give him full range. You say whatever you want on my show,
Yeah.
friend.
Oh,
Thank you, Knuckles. That
So-
was
That was great though. That was
Unreal.
awesome.